Welcome to JazzTime. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch, click on the link in the description below and buy it at the lowest price anywhere online. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Rolex Day-Date 40 White Gold reference 228239 with a slate index dial. I'm going to talk to you about the bezel, dial, case, bracelet, movement, try it on, and give you my thoughts. This watch is the Day-Date 40. Now, Rolex also makes it in size 36, and the Day-Date is arguably Rolex's most prestigious line. In fact, it's so prestigious that it's nicknamed the President. And that nickname has caught on such that Rolex has renamed their bracelet the President bracelet. Not the manager, not the worker, not the CEO, the President. And it arguably is the most recognizable, iconic watch that Rolex makes. In fact, presidents themselves, such as Eisenhower, JFK, Jimmy Carter, etc., have been photographed wearing the Rolex Day-Date. Pretty neat fact. And it's been around for more than 50 years. Now, what makes it so special? Well, Rolex, of course, is probably the number one, not probably, it is the number one selling watch in the world, commanding almost 50% of the market share. This is a fact. So, and then of the Rolex line, Rolex's most iconic watch is the Datejust, but that's only because of the price. The Day-Date is the bigger brother of the Datejust. It has more complication, is made of precious metal, and it is more famous in that sense, or it's more desirable. It doesn't mean that there's more of them because of the price point, but it is a more desirable model because it is the top of the line. There's nothing past the Day-Date. Of course, they make many different variations of the Day-Date in different metals and diamonds and whatever else, but it's still the Day-Date. There's no Day-Date, further, Day-Date month or something. That's the final step in Rolex's Oyster line. Okay, so you're looking at it. Now, your choice from here is just to decide if you want size 36 or size 40. And 36 would be for a woman who likes to wear large watches or who has a large wrist, or a man who has a small wrist and like to wear a watch that actually fits him. The Day-Date 40 are for those who are a little bit larger or like to wear larger watches. If I had to recommend it to you, I would probably tell you if you're a man at least 150 pounds, you could wear a Day-Date 40. If you're less than that, probably you should be wearing a size 36 millimeter. Now, this watch is 40 millimeter, as I've alluded to. The older version is a Day-Date 41, and that watch is discontinued. And to be honest, you might think, well, I want a bigger watch that looks better. Well, no, not really, because the older 41 looked very clunky and it did not look nearly as streamlined as this Day-Date 40 does. Now, it has a Oyster case, and as I told you, from this 4 to 2 o'clock, where my thumb to my index finger, the longest distance across the bezel is 40 millimeters. It has a monoblock middle case with a screw down case back and winding crown, and then the entire case is made out of white gold. So it's gold with some added other parts to it to give it this white color. And if you turn it on its side, you can see the side profile. Now, Rolex doesn't really make watches that have, that are difficult to wear, and this is no exception. If you look at it on the side, it's approximately 12 millimeters in height, which is a very normal size. And in fact, interestingly, this watch has more complications than the Datejust, but it's the same thickness. So they had to include more technology in order to keep the watch as thin as it is. Okay, now let's talk about the bezel here. The bezel is a fluted bezel. What that means, this is the most iconic bezel that Rolex makes, and if you don't know, well, you should. And if you don't know, now you know. This bezel is made of white gold. It's a mark of distinction. Originally, the fluted bezel had a functional purpose, and it was to screw the bezel onto the case and help it to ensure the waterproofness of the watch. But after some time, they figured out how to do it without it, and it just became an aesthetic element. And it shows that this is a genuine Rolex with this beautiful fluted Rolex signature, and it's a mark of distinction. Okay, now let's move on to the dial here. Now the dial is on this watch, they call it a slate. dial. You could call it gray, you could call it rhodium, any of those things. They, for whatever reason, call it slate. It looks gray to me. I don't really know what the difference between slate and gray is, but okay, let's call it a slate because that's what they call it. Now, it has your typical sunray finish, which, if you don't know, it's a finish that creates a delicate light reflection on the dial such that when you move it in different directions, the grooves create a outward appearance that the watch is changing colors, which it's not, but it appears that way because of the way that they have done it. And the sunray finish is applied by using a physical vapor deposition or electroplating and a light coat of varnish that gives the dial the final look. It's an absolutely beautiful dial. What else I can point out about this is that it has an index dial. Now, what is the index? These means that the hour markers have these little sticks, batons, or indexes, and there's luminescent on the end of it. Now, when I shine this light at it, you'll see that it lights up very, very well. It lights up so well that you can actually even see it at night. Now, that's a practical consideration that many people overlook. They think, well, the Romans look nicer. I wanted to have the Roman, for example, on the Roman green dial. It's a very, very beautiful dial. But you know what? The problem is you can't see it at night. You literally cannot see it at night. So you're wearing this, hunk of gold on your wrist, and you try to tell the time, and you have to take your phone out. Kind of ridiculous, actually. So they need to figure out how to put index dials or luminescence on the end of the watch, because the whole purpose of wearing the watch, aside from flexing, which is probably the number one reason, the number two reason is to actually tell the time, right? Sometimes we're at a dinner or wherever. It's kind of rude to look at your phone. It's kind of rude to look at your watch, but it's less noticeable. So anyways, having this index dial really solves that problem, because at least you can see the darn thing at night. Make sense? And you know what else? It also makes the watch look much cleaner. It doesn't have so much stuff on it. It's a very just clean look, right? Sometimes you don't want your t-shirt to have all these pockets and rips and, different colors and all this stuff. You don't want all that. You just want a simple white t-shirt or blue t-shirt, one pocket. That's it. Or maybe button up. You don't want it with all this stuff. That's what the Roman dial is, very cluttered. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. In this situation, if you were to choose the index dial, it's not cluttered, it's very practical, and even has a beautiful sunray finish. Okay, now they make this kind of index dial. They make it with at least as of 2023, they're making this video, they make a slate, which is gray. They also make a black index. And I believe, I think that's it. I think they only make two index dials. Maybe they'll make more in the future. Who knows? Okay, anyways, that's the dial. Now let's move on to the bracelet. As I told you at the beginning, this is the President bracelet. The bracelet is 3-piece links across. It's semicircular, and it's made of white gold. The entire watch is actually made of white gold. The clasp is a concealed folding crown clasp. You close it like this, and you can see that once you close it, you cannot see the buckle anymore. That's why it's concealed, as opposed to unconcealed, right? So the older style had a buckle on the end of it, which was, to be honest, quite unsightly. And it didn't look like it flowed. Rolex does a good job of making their watches flow. The bracelet is actually part of the watch, and it is unmistakable Rolex. Now, for example, if you take a look at Patek Philippe, they always concentrate on the head of the watch. They pay very little regard to the bracelet. Now, the bracelet, of course, it's part of the watch. It's not the most important part of the watch, but it's certainly part of the watch. You need something to strap it onto your wrist, and it would be ridiculous to think that the strap doesn't matter. Of course it matters. If it didn't matter, then, why don't we just use plastic? But it does matter. So using a bracelet that is iconic and recognizable and beautiful and practical is very important, and even major brand such as Patek doesn't really pay much attention to it. Now actually, though, I should say within the last few years, they are starting to integrate the bracelet or the strap into the watch by adjusting the colors and making them somewhat match, which is a very smart idea. They probably got the hint, or maybe they watched this YouTube video, who knows. So at any rate, making the bracelet and the head match, which is what Rolex has done here, creates this beautiful iconic watch, which is what you see here. Here's the result. Okay, now that's the bracelet. Let's talk about the movement. The movement is an upgraded movement from what it used to be. It's now a 3255 manufactured Rolex. It's precise to plus minus 2 seconds a day. It has a power reserve of 70 hours. Now I can say finally Rolex is having power reserves of around 70 hours. And other brands need to catch up because AP is doing all their movements around 70 hours. That's the standard. Now, I have to say Patek Philippe, for example, most of their watches are 35 to 40 hours, which is actually, to be quite honest, pathetic. And I hope they watch this video because they need to up their game. If they're trying to sell, $50,000 watches and up, and they're only having power reserve of 50 hours, you know what that means? It's not so much like, oh, well, what's the big difference between 50 and 70? Well, first of all, a lot, 50%. Second of all, if you have a watch that's has a longer power reserve, what does it mean? It actually means that the watch is more efficient. It's using new technology, ceramic bearings, etc. And if it doesn't have a long power reserve, it means it's inefficient. And, if you're paying this kind of money, the watch better be efficient. Now, if you look at Audemars Piguet, all their new movements all have 70-hour power reserve, which has met the criteria for a modern watch. And Rolex is doing that same with some of their new watches. And this one's no exception. So other brands such as Patek Philippe need to up their game. And I bet you're going to start seeing more 70-hour power reserve watches from Patek, which you heard here. Maybe they even watched the video and that's how they figured it out. But at any rate, that's the movement. Now, let me try it on. I'm 200 pounds, 6 foot tall. And as you can see, the watch looks fantastic on my wrist. What are my thoughts? My thoughts are that, well, I kind of gave it to you all throughout this video, is that the Day-Date President is the most iconic watch that Rolex makes. It's a watch that is the top of the line. There's nothing better than it for Rolex. Of course, like I said, they make different variations. Now, let's talk about this variation in itself. White gold. Now, why would you want to wear white gold? I want to wear yellow. I want everyone to look at my watch. I want everyone to think I'm, so cool. Okay, you know what? Then choose yellow gold or rose gold. Now, why would you choose white gold? Well, not everybody wants to walk around with a watch blinging in yellow gold. Be honest, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to wear a watch in yellow gold. Because why? Because it attracts too much attention and not always the right attention. I don't always want people to know what kind of watch I have on. And, a lot of people won't look at a watch in white color because it simply looks like stainless steel. And, at the end of the day, I think that the watch is for the person that's wearing it, not for those around you, because you're the one who's going to be staring at it most of the time. And most people don't even care what kind of watch you have. They might only look at it for 2 seconds, whereas you probably going to be looking at it for, a long time and many, many days for, a very long time. So it matters what you think. And for me, I'll kind of prefer a watch that is a little bit more subtle. I don't have to wear a yellow gold watch or rose gold watch that's going to be blinging out with diamonds and everywhere, So, but that's just me, Now, what do you want? I don't know. But if you want to buy this watch, click on the link in the description below to buy it at jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.